Welcome everyone to another Destiny 2 build video, and today we're going to be covering a recent buff slash change that happened to a strand aspect on Hunter. The aspect I'm talking about is the Ensnaring Slam. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's the aspect that makes it where whenever you activate your class ability while in air, you'll do a big giant circus flip on the ground. You kind of honestly aura farm a little bit. It does look really cool, but wherever you land, it will suspend enemies all around you. Well, that now has a buff where if you do that, it'll apply Woven Mail to you. You get 5 seconds of Woven Mail per enemy that you hit, and it caps off at 4 enemies. So with that math, 4 times 5, you can now get 20 seconds of Woven Mail just by using Ensnaring Slam. This came out a couple weeks ago, so I'm a bit late on this, but forgive me. But as soon as I read the patch notes and saw this, I knew I needed to try it and post a video on it because I think people are heavily sleeping on this buff slash change. There were a couple of other patch notes and changes, mainly to Solar Hunter, that I will also be making a video on, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we're focusing all on Ensnaring Slam and Strand. The build I bring for you today is obviously all focused around Ensnaring Slam and really lets this aspect shine. And the main focus on it is basically going to be 100% uptime on Woven Mail. We basically want to have Woven Mail up at all times, no exception. Now, when I was trying to make a build like that, I tried out a couple of different exotics with Ensnaring Slam, like Radiant Dance Machine, 6 Coyote, whole bunch of dodge stuff that basically makes it where I can use Ensnaring Slam over and over again. But what I found actually was the best is, lo and behold, the Subclass Facade. Now, I know this is a common exotic that a lot of people use, and I know a lot of you are probably bored of it by now, but it truly is insanely good with Ensnaring Slam. It lets you do things like you see in the gameplay where I can grapple in, get 10 seconds of Woven Mail from grappling in, and then slam on people to then gain 20 seconds of Woven Mail. With the fragment setup and the mob setup I have, makes it where anytime we do that combo, as long as we clear out the wave of enemies that we just did that combo on, I will have my abilities up and ready to go for the next wave. Luckily, with the build I also have set for you today, there isn't a restriction on weapons. So if you're someone who likes to change your weapons in between activities or just get bored of using the same weapon over and over again, luckily this build kind of lets you do that because you're not stuck to using one thing. In the gameplay you see, I am running Mint Retrograde as my main primary weapon. I put quotations because it's a special weapon, but that's what I use primarily. And then I combine that with, you'll see either Lord of Wolves or Merciless, and then a Strand rocket launcher. From there, just to add even more survivability, I have it set up where we have high class stat, which will make it whenever we use Ensnaring Slam, we then will gain an overshield, and I cannot tell you the amount of times that has saved my butt from a stupid play I've decided to make where I got too aggressive or decided to do something dumb and I needed that overshield to save my life. So I really love that is a part of this. So if you couldn't tell, I really like this buff to Ensnaring Slam. I really appreciate Bungie actually changing things up a bit for this aspect to make it a bit better, because honestly, I never really used it before this. But that's enough of an introduction. Let me now go ahead and break down and show you the nerdy details on what to run on the build and why we are running what we are running. Alright, so for this build, we're obviously going to be on the Strand subclass, and that is because this entire build focuses on the buffs around Ensnaring Slam. The buffs ended up adding that second sentence there to Ensnaring Slam, where suspending enemies with this ability will now grant you Woven Mail. And just to show you what that looks like, I use my Ensnaring Slam. I now gain 5 seconds of Woven Mail whenever suspending a target. Now, the really cool thing in where Ensnaring Slam giving you Woven Mail becomes very strong is the fact that it scales based on the amount of people you suspend. So if I go suspend a big group of enemies like this, I now have 20 seconds of Woven Mail because I got 5 seconds per enemies with a cap at 4 enemies. And for those of you who are unaware, Woven Mail just grants us 45% damage resistance. Now, when creating a build that encompasses and really uses the Ensnaring Slam buff a lot, I came down to a couple of things. First things I tried was Radiant Dance Machines. These are really good with Ensnaring Slam. I also tried out Foe Tracer because Ensnaring Slam does actually proc Foe Tracer exotic perk, so this was also really good. But what I ended up landing on being my favorite was a Subclass Facade build. Subclass makes it whenever you activate your grapple, it will grant you Woven Mail. Whenever you have Woven Mail active, you'll also gain flinch resistance and health when defeating targets. And the reason that I leaned more towards Subclass compared to anything else is because of how safe it made it whenever you do enter in for an Ensnaring Slam. In high-end content, I did find that the Woven Mail that you get from Ensnaring Slam was really great, but it wasn't enough on its own. But when combined with Subclass, it basically lets us go in, gain Woven Mail from our grapple, and then slam to get the 20 seconds of Woven Mail. And then by the time that runs out, I can do it again with my second grapple and go in with another Ensnaring Slam to basically have infinite uptime on Woven Mail at absolutely all times. So basically, just to give you a demonstration, I like to go in with grapple, use this. I now get 20 seconds of woven mail, kill a couple of enemies to get my class ability back, grapple, go in, rinse and repeat over and over and again. And as long as you're getting enough kills, you should have the loop basically ready to go in between every wave of enemies. So with that loop in mind, we're obviously going to be running grapple grenade, and then we're also going to combine that with widow silk so that we gain 2 grapple grenades, and they also create a grapple point in the sky whenever we do use it. From there, for the rest of the subclass, we're going to go ahead and use Gambler's Dodge, just so whenever we do use our Ensnaring Slam, we get our threaded spike back. Now for the fragments, you're going to want Thread of Continuity. This one's pretty straightforward. This is just going to make it where our suspend will last longer, so the enemies will be in the air for way longer. You're also going to want Thread of Mind. This is going to be extremely important to keep that loop that I just showed off up. This makes it where whenever you defeat suspended targets, it will grant you class ability energy. This is what will make it where whenever we do end up ensnaring slamming a huge crowd of enemies, as long as we basically wipe them out, we should have our class ability back by the time we are ready to grapple grenade combo again. Then we're going to combine Thread of Mind with Thread of Generation. This makes it where whenever we deal damage, we'll generate grenade energy. So once again, this plays into effect with Thread of Mind, where we go in, we suspend targets. By killing them, we are gaining class ability energy, as well as now gaining grenade energy. And then last but not least, we're going to run Thread of Propagation. This just makes it where our powered melee final blows, which once again, grapple does count as a powered melee, as well as started spike, obviously. So as long as we get a kill with any of those 2 abilities, our strand weapons will now gain unraveling rounds. And that is only applicable if you are running a strand weapon, which I personally do in the build. Now, the nice thing about this build is you are not locked into a specific weapon at all. I have tried this build out with so many different combinations, and they kind of all feel really good. I tried it with Choir of One. I really like it with Graviton Lance. Any strand weapon fits really well. But what I personally landed on was Mint Retrograde, specifically with Chain Reaction. That combined with the unraveling rounds we gained from Thread of Propagation makes this thing an ad clearing monster. I then like to pair Mint Retrograde up with a hard hitting energy slot weapon. I'm personally using Lord of Wolves. I did find myself running Merciless and Fourth Horseman as well. Anything that can just absolutely delete a yellow bar that is suspended, I just like to use in my energy slot. But the main reason we are using Lord of Wolves or Merciless is because they're solar, and that is because of the artifact perk Cauterized Darkness. This will make it where strand debuff non-boss combatants will take increased solar damage from all sources, and suspend counts as a strand debuff, so therefore our solar weapons will do more damage to anybody we suspend with Ensnaring Slam. From there, I personally just topped off my heavy slot with another strand weapon. I really love this Haliatus right here with Envious Assassin and Bipod. But once again, just to reiterate, you can honestly run any set of weapons you want in this build. The weapons do not really matter at all. Just in case you don't want to run a strand weapon, so therefore Thread Propagation will do absolutely nothing for you, go ahead and swap that out then for Thread of Isolation, just making it where we can sever targets by hitting precision shots on them. Now for the rest of the artifact perks, there's going to be a couple that will benefit this build. The first one being Tightly Woven. This will just make it where whenever we have Woven Mail active, we gain increased class ability and grenade stat, which is perfect because we're using obviously our class ability and our grenade a whole bunch in this build. After that, Threadling Proliferation here. Dealing strand weapon damage has the chance to spawn a Threadling, and defeating a strand debuff target increases this chance. We are killing a whole bunch of suspended targets, so therefore we will be creating a whole bunch of Threadlings via this artifact perk. From there, we're going to combine that with Pack Tactics, where dealing damage with Threadlings increases the Threadling damage, and at maximum stacks, our Threadlings can actually stun unstoppable champions. From there, go ahead and throw on Refresh Threads. This just makes it whenever we do grab one of the tangles that we create, it will grant us energy to our least charged ability. You're going to want to throw on Threaded Blast, where destroying a tangle with strand damage will increase the radius of the explosion and its damage. In the final column, you're going to want Shield Crush. This is just going to make it where whenever we do have Woven Mail active, which we will always have active in this build, it'll make our melee recharge faster and deal increased damage, and that does apply to our grapple grenade as well. And then last but not least, go ahead and throw on Tangled Web, where whenever we do create a tangle, it'll suspend nearby targets. Up next, let's talk about the armor stats. There are 2 setups that I ran with this build that honestly, I don't really think there is a clear answer on what's better. It is kind of personal preference. First things first, you want at least 100 grenade stat and class ability stat, so we're getting our grapple grenade and our ensnaring slam back as quick as possible. But from there, where your stats can differ is honestly, it's up to you on what you want to dump into the most. That is either a very high grenade stat or a very high class ability stat. Having a very high grenade stat will just make it where your grapple grenade will deal more damage. So if that sounds interesting to you, then dump as much as you can into grenade. Me personally, I like to dump as much as I can into my class ability. And that is because whenever we do activate our Ensnaring Slam, this will actually give us a little bit of an overshield. So for example, whenever I go in and do the grapple and snaring slam combo, I'm not only granting myself woven mail, but as you can see, I now have a overshield on my health bar. But it is entirely personal preference what you prefer out the two. I think they're great options. From there, with your leftover stats, it's kind of up to you. I went for weapon stat just because I like doing more damage, so that way we can clear out the suspended enemies before they actually get unsuspended. High super stat and high melee stat are also great options. It is up to you, but at least bare minimum have 100 grenade and 100 class ability, please. All right, so for the armor mods, the setup I'm going to show you right now is covering the mint retrograde / strand weapon setup that I'm currently running. Whenever I talk about an armor mod that deals with a specific element, in this version it's going to be strand, but feel free to replace that with whatever element of weapon you are using, so keep that in mind. But for the mint retrograde setup, I am running double special ammo finder, so I don't really have to worry about ammo in it. And then harmonic siphon. On the arms, I'm running melee font, grenade fonts, and focusing strike. On the chest piece, I'm running concussive dampener, harmonic ammo generation, and sniper damage resistance. On the boots, I'm running strand weapon surge, harmonic scavenger, and insulation. And then on the cloak, I'm going to be running time dilation, class font, and outreach. Just to give a quick summary on what this mod setup does, first things first is whenever we get kills with our strand weapons, it will create an orb of power. From there, grabbing orbs of power will grant us armor charge, which will then grant us increased melee stat, grenade stat, and class stat, as well as increase how much damage our strand weapons will do. We're also going to gain damage resistance from enemies that are at long range, as well as any type of AoE damage effect. Whenever we do pick up an orb of power, we will then gain class ability cooldown, and then anytime we use our class ability, we will also gain grenade cooldown. So that right there is the rundown on the entire Ensnaring Slam buff build that I came up with. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. But for now, let's go ahead and take this into some live gameplay for you. So unfortunately, since they changed how the portal works, I can no longer change the power cap basically to make it where I am minus 50 for these tests. So from now on, I think I'm actually going to take the builds into the weekly campaign missions on mythic difficulty so that you can actually see the build at minus 40 power. I don't know how much of this campaign mission I'm actually going to run because this is new to me. I've never really ran these for the live gameplay section. So we'll probably just go to the first boss and call it there. If you can think of a better way for me to test builds in low power content, please let me know down below. But yeah, here we go. We're going to go in, like I said before, use the grapple, slam down with Ensnaring Slam. I should now have 20 seconds of woven mail to basically just walk around and have fun. I already have the grapple and Ensnaring Slam combo back. Rinse and repeat, basically. Remember to try to get some grapple kills, get some powered melee kills, so you can get unraveling rounds on your weapons. And just basically keep doing the loop over and over and over again. I'm going to go in and grapple that guy. And lay into him with Lord of Wolves. And take care of that. Go into this big group of enemies again. Use chain reaction on our mint retrograde. And just absolutely fry everything. Go in and Ensnaring Slam you. Bring you down with Lord of Wolves because Lord of Wolves does an insane amount of damage. We're gonna go in, hit you with the grapple actually, just so we get unraveling rounds and just fry them because I don't think we need to do the Ensnaring Slam combo on these people. All right, there we go. That's a big group of enemies. Go in, grapple, Ensnaring Slam down, chain reaction, mint retrograde. I think you guys get the point at this point. I think you understand what I'm trying to accomplish with this build. Cool. I'm actually rich on heavy ammo, so I'm gonna be economically inefficient and destroy those with my rocket. Same with these. Boing. I'm just gonna use my Lord of Wolves on these guys, just because I have a bit more ammo in it than my mint retrograde. And I believe this takes me to a big, is it like a big Hydra fight? Or is it a big, it's a big Harpy, isn't it? No, yeah, it's a big Hydra fight. All right. Same thing, rinse and repeat. Alright, is that the health gate? No. Actually, does this guy even have a health gate? Yeah, he does. Alright, I knew I wasn't bugging. Alright. Let's go ahead, do this. Low key, that overshield from my class stat did kind of just save me there, so I can really appreciate that. Do the exact same thing to you, and I should be able to finish you off with that. Perfect. All right, load wolves you down. Destroy these. Beautiful. Fat stack of enemies there. 20 seconds on woven mail. I already have my class ability back from how many people I killed that were suspended. All right, we're gonna destroy this. All right, let's go in over here, suspend them, get some woven mail. Actually, it lagged a little bit. That was weird. Regardless, everything should be good to go. And now we can DPS the boss. Where'd he go? He teleports again? Oh, there we go. All right, finish you off with Mint Retrograde and beautiful big Hydra boss down. All right, I think I'm gonna call it there. I think you get the gist of what I was trying to show off. I do love the new portal changes. I do appreciate how much easier the power grind is, but I don't really have a way to show off minus 50 power content no more. At least that I know of. I could be completely wrong. If you have a way that you can think of, please let me know down below. You'll be a big help for me. All right, so that right there was the entire build. If you enjoyed what you saw, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. We are on the road to 5K subscribers, trying to hit that before Renegades, so I would greatly appreciate it if you join the family. If you have any changes or recommendations that you think that would make the build better, please feel free to drop those down below. Do not be scared. I'm not going to ridicule you if you call me out on something. I want to provide the best builds possible to everyone out there. As always, I have a dim link in the description if you do want to give the build a tryout for yourself. But that's going to do it for me. If you made it this far, I love your face, and all you fine ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of your day.